Even if it says sustainable on the package, the vast overall majority isn't sustainable. So you can't just be sustainable and expect things to either stay the same or not get worse at least. But we need to regenerate. We need to rebuild. We need to reinvigorate nature. At the end of the day, the real issue our environments have is pollution. If our environments didn't have to deal with all these toxic chemicals we spray in the ground, all these plastics clogging up rivers, all this sludge we dump, it would be very healthy and it would be able to deal with a lot of this excess carbon. I've had days where I literally couldn't lift my body up out of bed because I'm just so exhausted and so burnt out. But burnout is something that in startup mode, I think you have to figure out the balance. If you are burnt out, you're of no use to anybody. I mean, a burnt out mind is a useless mind.
Welcome back to the Plucky Bamboo Podcast, where we get into the real stories and strategies behind scaling sustainability-focused businesses. Today, I'm speaking with Jonathan Appel, co-founder and CEO of Eden Energy, a company that spent decades developing a regeneration technology designed to turn pollution into clean fuel, water, and fertiliser. In this episode, we unpack some crucial insights that mission-driven founders rarely talk about, why sustainability might actually be holding your business back, and what it means to build for regeneration instead, the hidden reason so many climate tech innovators fail to scale even when the tech works, and how Jonathan handles burnout, alignment, and leadership while carrying a 30-year family legacy on his back. If you're building something big, ambitious, and impact-led, this conversation will challenge how you think about growth, resilience, and what it really takes to stick to a mission over the long haul. Let's get into it. Jonathan, thank you so much for joining us today. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your business?
Well, Chris, yes, absolutely. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. So my name is Jonathan Appel. I'm a biologist, engineer, and entrepreneur, and I've been really working on my own businesses since I was a child. Our company now is a company called Eden Energy Solutions. It is the brainchild of about 30 years of R&D conducted by my father and I on a technology that is a reverse engineering of Mother Nature. So we have figured out how to use heat, pressure, time, and water to break down all carbon-based structures, so pretty much everything outside of metal, rocks, and glass, into clean-burning, carbon-neutral fuels, biochar, and organic fertilizers, and a water product with no waste or byproducts itself in a highly efficient and environmentally positive way. So it sounds all good to be true, but this is the life's work, and it's something that I've really dedicated myself to. And the entrepreneurial spirit has really kept me alive and pushing forward, even through everything that we've been through to get this technology to the world. And now Eden is our vehicle to bring it to it.
So yeah, you mentioned there, you've spent a long time building this business. Most founders don't make it past 3 years. So what is it that kind of kept you going through the false starts, the market crashes, everything else?
Sure. Yeah, just to give a little bit of context, this is the fourth time this technology has found its place in a company. Well, third time, third company, so to speak. But the real journey has been because it was being developed that whole time, right? This wasn't just an overnight success. This is a technology that took decades to really understand fully what it is that we have. But it all comes down to an experience I had when I was a kid, because my journey in this technology and my mission in life isn't built around a technology, it's around a legacy. And this journey started when I was about 7 years old. It was 1996. My family was down in Mexico. My father has deep ties into the Mayan culture, and he got some bad news. A friend of his passed, so he wanted to see a Mayan shaman. And during that Mayan shaman ceremony, the Mayan shaman said something to him that has just echoed throughout my entire life, that he was going to create something that was going to clean up the world. About 6 months later, he was looking at a bunch of these thermal energy technologies to convert waste into energy, realized none of them really actually worked because they don't solve pollution. What they do is they take pollution in one form, turn it into heat or fuels or energy, and displace all the pollution, right? It doesn't do anything about the harmful compounds. None of those are actually dealt with. They're just displaced and then released into the atmosphere or put into the ground. So it led him on this journey to essentially create the technology that does what everybody was looking for, right? Something that actually solves the waste pollution and makes it go away while giving a benefit. So over the decades, we really worked. I didn't really join the technology until about 2004, 2005 as a kid, and we had some really good success. They did try to go public in 2008. and the IPO dropped right before the market crash, so it caused some major issues for us as a business. We were able to restructure and reorganize, got everything moving again, but 2012 in the US saw the biofuel market collapse. So we had to pivot again and do something different. About 6 months after the collapse, we got a call from a Turkish company, ended up forming a worldwide joint venture with this company. I moved to Istanbul, lived there 5 years. That's actually where I met Eden's co-founder, but also my life partner, Gozde. Did some really great research over there, advanced the technology even further. But then in July of 2016, a failed coup d'etat saw the country just completely go belly up economically. So it's been a series of really amazing advancements, but a series of force majeure setbacks that we really couldn't control. And that's really what has kept me going and kept me driven is I know the technology that I've been working on my whole life works, right? And I know what it can do. I know what it means for this world. And just circling back to the legacy, as a kid, we called my father God's janitor. And today I jokingly call myself Earth's janitor, right? The legacy isn't about making this amazing technology that is so cool and can do all these amazing things. It's about creating a technology that can clean up the world. And that's what we have. So for me, it's an internal drive that the vast majority of people can never understand because they would never experience something like I've been through. But it's a drive that can't be quenched. It's a fire that can't be put out. And that's why I continue going every day with a smile on my face.
So you mentioned in the past that Eden's more about regeneration than it is sustainability. And I'm curious to know, what's the difference in your eyes and why does it matter for the future of the planet?
We hear the term sustainable all the time, right? It's on food packaging. It's thrown around in advertisements. Sustainable this, sustainable shoelaces, right? But what does it even mean? Sustainable. What are we sustaining? Because right now I look around and we hear a lot about climate change and CO2 and all these issues related to rising temperatures. But at the end of the day, the real issue our environments have is pollution. If our environments didn't have to deal with all these toxic chemicals we spray in the ground, all these plastics clogging up rivers, all this sludge we dump, it would be very healthy and it would be able to deal with a lot of this excess carbon. So the real issue, the source of the foundation, it's pollution. We know that if we're trying to sustain, that's what we're doing. So how can we sustain something that is unsustainable? Our actions today, they're not sustainable. Even if it says sustainable on the package, the vast overall majority isn't sustainable. So you can't just be sustainable and expect things to either stay the same or not get worse at least. But we need to regenerate. We need to rebuild. We need to reinvigorate nature. And the way we do that is we stop poisoning it. And again, the biggest problem is all these chemicals and all this hazardous waste and all these plastics that end up in our lands, that end up in our waters and our oceans and everywhere else that we really don't have a solution for until now. So we could take all those plastics, oils, hazardous waste, medical waste, and we could process them all at the same time safely and efficiently, break down all the bad actors, create clean regenerative energy and fertilizers and water that can be upgraded to potable water, right? It's a net water producer, all in an environmentally positive way that is immensely energy efficient. Now, I say that and a lot of people don't really understand what it means. And I'll give you a perfect example. There's a technology out there called pyrolysis, right? And I'm sure a lot of people are becoming more familiar with it, especially with social media. There's someone out there that is doing plastic pyrolysis. The issue with pyrolysis is that it's an immensely pollutive, energy inefficient technology that actually creates more pollution than it solves. So you can build a pyrolysis system to the point where you make very clean product. The thing is, it's going to be about 5 to 10% efficient. So for every 100 units of energy you make, you need to take 95 of those units to make 5 more units of energy. So you're really not making any energy at all. Our system is over 90% efficient, and it's because we use water. So this is a technology that can actually take pollution and in an amazing way regenerate the environment because you're taking the pollution out, creating clean energy from it, and now the environment can restore itself. Right? The world is very, very strong, right? It's going to be able to rehabilitate it the second we stop poisoning it. It's going to come back. We just got to stop poisoning it. And that's why we need to be regenerative, not sustainable. Because if we're just sustaining, we're just headed towards disaster.
Can I ask, so this technology sounds fantastic. Why is it that it's not bigger in the market so far? Is it that no one else has come up with it? Is it that it took so much development to come up with it? Or tell me a bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, and that's a question that we get more often than not, so you can understand I have some practice answering it. But it really comes down to the fact that this technology has always been secured by IP, and those hurdles that we had to overcome over the years between an IPO the day before the market crash, a market collapse in the US, a failed coup d'etat. We've been fighting an uphill battle ever since. But the beautiful thing is the technology was always successful. It just ran into opportunities where the business and the market at the time in the location we were in wasn't viable. And there's tons and tons of depth to that. There's layers and layers of that onion to peel back. But that is the real bolts and gist of it. But now we're coming out as this solutions-based company that can bring these systems to the market. And we've built them of all sizes and scales. We've built them on lab scale all the way up to 250 tons a day. So we know we can build these now. A large portion of our team, including our CTO, is from the old guard. And even though Eden is a relatively new startup, if a client came to us today and said, hey, I need to build a 2,000 ton per day facility, we'd say, where do you want to start? And we'd be ready to go, right? We can know the location, we can get them percentages on what we would expect them to yield. We know that design. I've personally been a part of designing it at 1,500 tons a day. So it's really exciting from that regard. We're ready to rock and roll. And these systems now can finally make it to the market when previously it was more still in that developmental phase. But it's ready for the prime time.
What's holding you back at this point then?
Right now, there's nothing holding us back. We are currently in conversations with several countries and looking at putting in very, very large systems. We're in conversations with many clients, including some in the high fashion world. We get to show this high-end fashion brand that this chemical agent that they use and the creation of their leather, we're able to break it down to its simplest safe form. So it's no longer this toxic compound that they had to pay this fortune to get rid of and to maintain environmental compliance. Now they can turn it into energy with no concerns about that chemical at all. So it's a win-win-win for everybody across the board.
What's the one challenge that if you solved it would completely change the trajectory of the company?
You know, that's a really difficult question to ask. I mean, most entrepreneurs, the standard answer is capital, right? Everybody always says capital this, capital that. We're in a different position when it comes to capital. We're still have a small raise open, and we're looking at another raise here down the road, right? All startups are always in raise mode, always bringing in capital. But we've turned down a significant portion or a significant amount of capital because we're very focused on finding aligned partners, not just an investment. We want everybody who's on our cap table to know that, hey, if we get this right, if we do this company right, everybody's going to do very handsomely. But that can't be why we're here, because that's not the mission and vision of Eden. The mission and vision of Eden is to restore this world to Eden environmentally and consciously, because that's the key. If we get everybody to a level of Eden consciousness, then we can live in harmony. And how do we do that? You give back. So that's one of the big things that we're going to do at Eden Energy is we're going to make sure that none of these communities are suffering like these landfill communities all around the world. There's 15 million people that live in landfills with an average lifespan of 35 years old. That is one of our key missions. We're going to make sure that those places are done. We're going to bring systems there through our Eden initiative, our philanthropic venture. We're going to run those systems. We're going to clean up the area and give all the money that comes back to those communities so they can then build schools and re-thrive and re-become a part of a natural world, build food forests so they can be self-sufficient and all these different aspects of regenerative agriculture, regenerative ecosystems. And that's how we start. You start small and then you grow, right? And then it sparks the change. So we're going to try to be that spark of change. We're really excited for what's coming down the pipeline because we have an opportunity to really do such good for this world.
Fast forward 3-5 years, what would make you say we did it, both in terms of the business and in terms of impact?
Nobody's really ever posed that question to me in that frame. And the way I guess I could say that to determine what I would find as successful 5 years from now is that people know that there actually is a solution to this waste, right? It's not just we're headed towards this doom and gloom world. We've got our systems out there and our philanthropic venture, the Eden Initiative, is thriving. We're getting projects off the ground. We're teaching people how to live better. And obviously the ecosystem that we're designing for Eden is thriving. The people at our company are happy. So you might actually be able to see right up here, that's the culture code. Me and a lot of my leadership team are all taking executive coaching sessions with Robert Staub. He's one of the world premier executive coaches, has coached Fortune 100 companies and beyond, but spectacular, teaches on the EQ IQ. But one of the things that we've spoken about, and Gozday, who's my life partner, but also the co-founder of Eden and our chief people officer, her job is culture. So I think at the end of the day, that would probably be the biggest metric for me is in year 5, Eden is ranked as one of the top places in the world to work for employee satisfaction because everybody is treated like a part of the team, a part of the family, but they get to do something that actually does a great benefit for humanity and building a company that is thriving both internally and externally. Not a dollar figure, not how much went back to the investors, but building that spark, building that ecosystem of change where we can make a better world for everybody.
What do you feel like could stop you from reaching that in 5 years?
You know, the only thing that's going to stop us as a team from reaching that goal is us. There's no external force that will stop the motion that we have, right?
You've been through enough already.
We've definitely been through a lot, and I actually said something to my partner Joyous today. Joyous Hart is our president. I was talking to him earlier this morning, and we were just talking about some of the things that we've been through over the last year and a half together, and just how we take these hits and we just keep smiling and moving forward. And it's really been my whole life. Every time adversity really presents itself, I just lower my shoulder and plow through it. I mean, I'm a bigger guy. I'm about 6'3", 250 pounds. So I'm not a little guy. I'm a serious athlete, or was a serious athlete. I still wake up at 4:30 every day. I ride the bike for about 30 minutes to an hour, and then I go to the gym for about an hour. So that's still part of my everyday routine. And I think that's something that gives me the ability to push forward no matter what the adversity is. I've been on some amazing teams. I've been on some really bad teams before, and I think that teaches you humility as well. So you learn these different aspects in life through different experiences. And I know that if I, as the leader of this core team of Eden, if I still wake up every day at 4:30 and I keep brushing off my shoes and getting to work, and my team sees me pushing forward, and Gozday can help guide this company into the culture that we believe we can build here, I don't think there's a force in the world that can stop us.
If capital suddenly became unlimited with partners that are aligned with you, all of that kind of thing, and you were able to scale, what's one thing you'd be most focused on getting right before you scaled?
Well, really the only piece that we're still working on for development, the only thing that still needs to be right is our proprietary AI, which we're calling Atom, Autonomous Decentralized Ascension Matrix. It's going to be the AI that is going to run the Eden systems. So Atom is going to run the Eden system. That's really, it's under development. We've been building out the framework and we're building out the modeling. Thankfully, that doesn't need to be delivered until our first large system is in place. We have about 14 to 16 months at minimum before that software is needed to hit the market. So we have definitely a lot of time to build it. But that's the only thing that really needs to be done for us to scale now. Like I said, right now we're working on getting our first couple of large sales through the door. And once those sales go out, they're going to get built. So that the only thing that we would really need if capital was unlimited, of course, it would always be nice hiring some people to take some of the load off our plates because our team is really working hard. I think what has led to our success is every single person that we really have in our core team is self-starters. We don't have to really, I don't have, as the CEO, I just have to really push. I don't have to dictate and tell people what to do. They know what to do. So we've been really blessed in that regard. Obviously bringing in some more help, but developing finishing the development of the software would be the key. And that's really it. That's the only thing that we would look for. That's why we've been so selective with who we take capital from.
It is night and day. It's amazing how much difference there is between having a team of A players against a team of B or C players. Because when you have a team of A players who self-starters, things just accelerate exponentially. What's one principle you now live by as a founder that you had to learn the hard way?
I mean, there's probably a few. Nobody really learns how to be a CEO, right? It's something that you watch other people do, you read different books, and then you figure out how to do it. Nobody can tell you how to be a CEO. You have to figure that out on your own because the CEO is the leader. Nobody can tell you how to lead. You just have to, you have to lead. And I guess the hardest part for me is I'm a very emotional guy. And that's, I think, why I've been able to do what I do, because my emotions say just push forward and keep going. But that sometimes can lead to frustrations and anger, right? As the leader, you can't do that. You can't have times where you show that you're very angry at a situation. You need to remain calm. You need to remain centered. And just finding that balance is probably the biggest lesson for me. We've had some arguments where we're a team. It's natural, right? And a lot of times we're together. I mean, especially when we're running tests. I mean, we could be in the lab together from 5 a.m. to 11 p.m. at night, 4 or 5 nights in a row. You're together a lot. So you have little scuffles and arguments and you fight and you yell, but making sure that I always remain centered, I always remain calm, and I always remain focused in every situation when it comes to my company, has probably been the most challenging lesson I've had to learn. It's just finding that center, finding that balance, to make sure that I can be the leader that my team needs me to be. I have the weight of this company on my shoulders, and my actions dictate what happens to my organization. So making sure that I'm always the epitome of what I want to exemplify as the CEO in every situation, not being able to joke around in certain situations where 4 or 5 years ago, when I was still a high level executive, but I can still have more fun. Finding that balance, right? That's definitely been the biggest challenge in stepping into this position.
You mentioned there you've always been quite an emotionally driven person. I'm curious, have you ever had to deal with like burnout or anything like that?
Oh, the amount I've pushed myself, I've definitely had burnout before. I mean, I've had weeks, back-to-back weeks where I put in 120, 130 hours behind this computer. There was a span for about 5 years that ended in Christmas of last year. So it was technically 4.5 years where I didn't take more than 48 hours of consecutive time off from working. I didn't take a vacation, not a single holiday, always worked weekends, every single weekend. A lot of people like to go to work to get away from their spouse. It's unfortunate, but since 2019, Gosne and I have really been hand in hand in almost every business venture I've done. So not only we work together in home, we're always together, but I think that's been part of the ability why I've been able to do that. Most people need that family time, but when you're working with your spouse, it makes it a little bit easier. Working that hard over that long, you definitely experience burnout. And I know when I'm going through it, because if I wake up at 4:30 and I can't roll out of bed, then it's like, hey, pay attention. And I've had days where I literally couldn't lift my body up out of bed because I'm just so exhausted and so burnt out. And that's when you have your reality check. You take a couple days to center yourself, and then you take it a little bit easier. But burnout is something that in startup mode, I think you have to figure out the balance, right? Where can you push yourself to before you hit that? Because if you are burnt out, you're of no use to anybody. I mean, a burnt out mind is a useless mind. And I've told a lot of people, hey, you're too exhausted. Stop. Go home, go to sleep, do what you got to do. Like, you're done working. And I'm very key on rest. I don't need a lot of it, thankfully, but anybody on my team, I'm always telling them, hey, rest, hey, do this, take some family time. That's big for me. I guess I just live by a different set of rules for myself because I feel like this responsibility, because it is my family's legacy to make sure this happens, right? But yeah, burnout is one of those tough ones that you just have to figure out what works for you and what doesn't.
It's a big one for a lot of founders. Do you have any like specific strategies or anything like that you use to help rebalance yourself during those times?
Yeah, it might sound counterintuitive, but I do one of two things. One, I either rip apart my entire garden and I just do days of gardening and power washing and being outside and grounded, connected to nature and out there, right? Just doing outside work. And actually the physical labor outside doing something very simple-minded. Gardening is simple. It's not a lot of thinking involved. You're kind of just raking and gardening and weeding. And that's what allows me to really set back, like not using a lot of CPU capacity, right? Getting out in nature, going to the beach. I live here in South Florida, so I love the mangroves. I'll go spend a day sitting in the water in the mangroves and just rebalancing, connecting with nature, getting grounded, and then I'm usually back in 24 hours if I can get out there. I know this is going to sound like a horrible reference, but it's like when Superman goes in the sun, he gets that energy from the sun, and just being out in nature, I feel that rebalance come into me and I'm able just to get right back to it.
It's an interesting one to me. I've never suffered burnout when I've been doing really hard physical work for a long time. It's only when I've been doing mental work. And it's obviously you get like aches and pains and joints and stuff like that. And burnout, I think, is just the mind's way of telling you that, well, the mind needs a rest rather than your body. Thank you for sharing that, by the way. Final question for you. If you had one piece of advice for another founder in sustainability or regeneration, what would it be?
If you truly believe in what you're doing, you have to pursue it no matter what. If what you're doing you think can actually make a significant difference, provide something for you, just because it's going to make a difference, if you're going to make yourself suffer, if you're going to make your family suffer, you really need to weigh those options. But if it's something you truly believe in, something that can make a difference, and something that you can live with, you have to pursue it no matter what. I can't tell you how many people over the course of my life have told me I need to stop chasing this technology and go get a real job. Go get a real job is what I was told. I mean, look, I'm obviously an intelligent guy. I can do a lot of stuff. I could have gone and been a salesman somewhere and had this really cushy sales job, made a lot of money, but it's not about money. It's about making a difference. And thankfully, I have a life partner who's willing to fight side by side alongside of me, right? The Turks are descendant of Genghis Khan, so my wife is a true warrior. You don't mess with her. So thankfully, I've got a warrior by my side and who's equally intelligent. I mean, her IQ is off the charts, so I'm a very lucky man in many aspects of that because I have a life partner who's an equally driven entrepreneur and now is a part of my family. We've been together almost a decade, and this is her family legacy too. For her, it's everything. So getting to do that, getting to push forward, just you have to find your calling and you have to pursue it. Now, my calling is a little bit different than most. I get that, but I think it all comes down to the same root, the same core. You believe in something, go for it.
Really appreciate your time today. How can people get in touch with Eden Energy, get involved?
Sure. Yeah, our website, edenenergy.co. There's all sorts of links on there on ways you can contact us, whether you're interested in a piece of equipment, whether you're interested in just talking with us, potentially coming and joining us, right? There's going to be a lot of growth over the coming years. So if you're a business savvy entrepreneur and you think that Eden might be a place for you, please always feel free to reach out. And all of our socials are listed on our website as well. My socials, I'm mainly active on Instagram and X. Both you can find me at Jonathan Appel 13. And then everything else is there. And we look forward to hearing from everybody. I mean, part of this is bringing this to the world. Part of it is making sure that the world benefits from all this hard work and labor that's hundreds and hundreds of people have contributed to over the last 30 years. It wasn't just my family that built this, me and my father. It was a lot of people who have contributed to this amazing technology. I mean, yes, we've been leading the way, but it doesn't mean that we did it alone.
Very much for your time. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you, Chris.